Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in live. I don't know exactly how many of you are going to be live and how many of you are going to watch later, because as a little reminder, you can watch later if you like. Welcome to Master of Pose. My name is Paige Wells. We are here in my studio. It's the Blackfish Collective studio that I own with a few business partners here. So, yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I thought I would tell you a little bit about myself first. I'm a model, obviously. I have been working in the industry for about a decade. I've been working as a freelance model. I've worked in a few different agencies. I've started with some quite large agencies, as well as like little boutique agencies. And my current agency is Band Model Agency, formerly John Casablancas Agency. I do act as well, and my acting agency in Victoria here is DEI Talent, which I know a few of you are with DEI Talent as well, so nice to see you again. Happy to see you again, as always. So yeah, I think today I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to first go over the overview of the course. I'm just going to give you short little snippets of what each day is going to entail, because I have a lesson plan for each day. It is going to be every Saturday. Live, or you can watch later, of course, as I've said before. So yes, I'm going to give you an overview. I'm going to talk about the pose off, which in my opinion is one of the most exciting parts about this course. And then I'm going to answer all your questions, because this is a Q&A. If you do have any questions at any point about the course, about the pose off, modeling in general, industry, any issues you have posing that you want to get a quick answer to, just pop it in the chat. I do have my lovely producer here who is reading the chat live, and they're going to let me know. I am going to save all of the questions for the end, so just write down your question as soon as you think about it so that you don't forget it. My producer will save it, and they'll read it back to me. I do have some questions here that I did prepare that you guys have already sent in, that I have prepared on my list, as well as if you do see me looking down, I do have an iPad here with a few little things so that I don't forget anything. But yeah, I'm pretty much just going to jump right in then. So the course overview, there is 8 weeks to this. This is week 1. This is the course overview, Q&A, as you know. And then we are going to have every Saturday. Next class will be the history of pose and fashion icons throughout time. So this is similar to if you've ever taken a university course on any sort of art or anything like that. There's always a lesson about history, because let's be honest, Twiggy, Kate Moss, all of those icons, they've changed pose, how it is. There's people that had to invent things, and looking back at our past can be one of the best ways to sort of grow and become educated in your craft. And it can drive inspiration. I know a lot of the times I really heavily rely on some cool inspiration in my posing, because I do always do research before any shoot. So yeah, the next one, the week after that, will be the intro to posing, the basics and posing rules. So rules are always rules, in quotations, of course. You do not have to follow the rules, but the best way to break the rules is you have to know what the rules are first. So it's not 100% tried and true always, but it's good to know what's going. And if you're just starting, having those guidelines can be super helpful in just making you look a little bit more professional and just enhancing your posing. And then the next week will be part 1 of commercial modeling, and it'll just be intro into commercial modeling and modeling products. Commercial modeling is one of those things that I think a lot of people get confused about what it is. Commercial modeling is whenever you're trying to advertise for a product. So if you walk into Sephora and you see somebody with their new foundation, that's commercial modeling. A lot of people confuse this for fashion modeling, which we will get into later. And that's going to be your biggest driver, your biggest money source when you're making a model is e-com commercial modeling. And that I have broken up into 2 parts. So the first week is just the basics of commercial modeling. And then the next one is natural looking smiles. So smiling is one of those things that, although we all smile for the camera when it's your birthday photo, it is absolutely the hardest thing to do. It is way easier to give a fierce, stern, smize kind of face. Smiling is hard. So I know when I first started modeling, I took several classes on smiling. So we're going to go fully in depth on what you need to do to smile. Because if you are doing commercial modeling and you do want to make money as a model, you're going to have to know how to smile. Because, the classic, you have to laugh at the fruit, So laughing at tap machine, I did that once. That was fun. So yeah, that's going to be a whole week just based off smiles. And then the following week, we are going to delve into high fashion modeling, which is really fun, in my opinion. High fashion modeling is where you can get really creative. You can do bizarre things. Those are when you're screaming and you're jumping and you're doing all of these fun things, and you get to really experiment. And it doesn't have to be just, I'm beautiful and I'm holding a beautiful product, right? This is when you can really express emotions. You can be sad, you can be angry, you can do all sorts of stuff. That's honestly my favorite thing to do, although that is not where the money is. It's the most fun. So we're going to cover high fashion modeling in 1 week, also known as editorial modeling. The next one, we're going to dive into a little bit of sexy. We're going to do boudoir, swimsuit, kind of sex appeal kind of stuff. So how to look sexier when you are modeling. There's a few poses and things you can do, as well as a few rules to make sure that you keep it classy as well. You do tend to run the risk sometimes when you're doing boudoir, running into glamour, which glamour sort of refers to more of like the Playboy kind of like overtly sexual, whereas just being sexy. So there's a few different things we can do there to help you find that good balance of, being sexy, but not going too far, as well as some posing techniques that can just make you look better. This is very body focused, where the other weeks are going to be more face focused. And then the last week is going to be my favorite class. It is the art of emotion and facial expressions. So one of the biggest pitfalls of being a model is only having one face. You should be able to convey a variety of emotions depending on what you're trying to sell or mood you're trying to create. So it's all about going in depth into different emotions. We'll cover anger, sadness. If you can cry on camera is something that is extremely difficult, but can really create a really powerful image if that's what you're trying to do. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's going to be an 8-week course. We're going to cover all of those subjects. If you do register for the whole course in its entirety, you will get 30% off. It is $25 per class. If you find that you just want to cover one thing, like say, man, I just really need to work on my smile, you can totally just take that one class, or you can do the whole thing all together. And you can purchase it now. It will be live recorded weekly on Saturdays, but you can go back and rewatch them whenever you need. As well as if, say, you watch it live and you go, oh man, I really needed a little bit more help in this one spot, you can go back, rewatch, that kind of stuff. As well as if you do sign up for the whole course and you have like a little bit of clarifying question, you can always just send me an email. I'll do my best to answer them. So it is $122.50 for the full course, or $25 per class, just to get the pricing out of the way. And then, so next I'm going to talk about the pose off, which I am very excited about. Not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I've created something pretty cool for you guys. So if you've ever been to Faces, which is a big model scouting convention here in Vancouver, you would have experience with the pose off. It's going to be kind of a similar idea. So if you complete the entire course, you can complete it at any point in time. Just make sure that you do all of your lessons. You can be entered into the pose off. So it's going to be a skills-based competition. It is not going to be a lottery. So you're going to film a video of your best poses for me. I'll go more in depth into exactly what the requirements will be as we learn, because I don't want to give too much away of the course. But there will be some requirements, and I'm going to give you your very best. And I will review them all and select a winner from there. So it really gives you an opportunity to show what you've learned rather than just have your name drawn on a list. In the pose off, we'll have a fully mentored photo shoot by myself. We'll spend a whole pampering supermodel day about it. I will be here. We also will have an established photographer. We will be shooting in my studio, and it will be styled by Chai Fashions in the Bay Center. They will be using it for their social media and that sort of stuff. We will be putting you on our social media as well, and you will become the face of next year's Master of Pose. It'll be all over the advertisements. We will be running a print ad during the busiest summer season for theaters. So we've got a print ad running in the Roxy Theater So you'll actually get to see yourself in an ad, which is very exciting. And it's going to be running in late August, which is their busiest time. So lots of people are going to see it, which is very exciting. If you are a actor, it will also be great because then all those people that just love the theater, they'll see your name, big face, everything. It'll be very exciting. One of the first things when you do start your modeling career that is the hardest to get, there's two things. In-studio shots can be hard to get, as well as what are called tear sheets, which is what this is. Tear sheets refer to back in the old days in the 90s, you'd be in a magazine, you'd rip that piece of paper out, and it's a tear sheet. So having those in can be very, very valuable when you're starting your career. For example, say if you want to work abroad, you need a certain amount of tear sheets to get a visa. So it could be very cool. I'm very excited about that. There will be all professional makeup and everything. We'll have the full supermodel experience. You'll get lunch. It'll be so much fun. Usually when I would do a mentored photo shoot like this, it would be almost like $800 just for my time alone. So it'll be all free for you for whoever wins. You do have to complete the whole course to do it. You can join at any time as long as you catch up and get all of the lessons done, then you will be able to enter. We will be shooting in July-ish time, so just make sure that you have time in your schedule, and yeah, it would be an opportunity for you to see yourself in print in a store from the mall. Like, how cool is that? I think I came up with a great idea. Just saying. But yeah, let me see if I've forgotten anything. Yeah. Oh, also, everybody that completes the full course, you will get a diploma, which is pretty fun. It'll have my signature and be a proper certificate. If you've ever done any modeling courses before, sometimes they will give you diplomas and stuff that you can use, say, for applying to agents. You can put it up on your wall. You can do whatever it is that you like. So you will be a full graduate of my course. There we go. So next that's pretty much the course overview. There isn't too much else to say, but I will go into the Q&A section next. Here, I've got a question here. In person. No, we aren't doing in person, simply because a lot of this has been, I'm sort of moving into an online course. I do have one-on-one mentoring options. So I do teach one-on-one mentoring class, and every once in a while I do have workshops here in studio, but the function of moving online has mostly been with the COVID pandemic and stuff like that. We're just doing live on the internet. But if you would like to purchase a mentored photo shoot, we can totally do that. I do those all the time. So great. Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'm going to move into my pre-done questions. I have them here for me, so excuse me reading from my iPad. The first question is, do we have to be online at a certain time, or are you able to go back and watch them? I feel like I did kind of answer this already, but yes, you can watch them at any time. Live will be Saturday mornings, but you can go back and watch them and rewatch them as you need. And they will all be available. And the second question is, do I need to register for all the sessions before week 1 to be eligible for the pose off? No, you don't need to register beforehand. All you have to do is just actually complete those courses. I will check. I can check on my YouTube and make sure that you've watched all of the videos. And if you've watched them and completed them all, then you will be able to enter the pose off. You do have to attend all of the classes. I do recommend purchasing them in full, because you will save 30%. You can go through and just say, like, if you did want to do $25 here, you can do 3-4 things, but you won't be able to enter the pose off. If you do end up purchasing them 25 every week, I won't be giving a discount for that, so I do recommend just purchasing them in full. And then third question is more of a industry question. So those were the more so, do we have any more questions about the course itself, or is it?
No, I think that's it.
No, you done? Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to move into a couple questions I received about the industry. The first one was, how do I compete with not being 6 foot? This is one of those things that it's really about knowing your market. So for example, I'm a plus size model. So there's like the straight size models. There's the plus size model, which is me, which is more like a size 8, which is more what most people consider like a slim normal person. And then there's curve models. Curve models are for people that we would expect to actually be plus size. I'm more plus size. And then there's the very thin runway size person. So for me, I know that my market is not going to be Prada high fashion. I'm much likely going to be modeling a foundation or something like that. So you just want to make sure that you have a course or an agent that is for your market. So just do research on which agent that you're going to sign with and make sure that it makes sense for you. If say you're like super high fashion looking, you might not want to sign with strangers agencies because they're doing in Vancouver because they're doing commercial diversity kind of stuff. That being said, as well as if say you're plus size, you probably wouldn't want to apply at Charles Stewart because that's more of like an international thing. So there is a market for everybody, whether you're short, whether you're plus size, all different like ethnicities, all that kind of stuff. You just need to know what you're going for. So maybe if you're under 6 foot, runway might not be your best option, but that doesn't mean that there isn't options for you. If you think of like any advertisement you see, even like the RBC has to have models at their tellers, right? So it all depends on your market. The fourth question I have is very similar to the last one. Is there a place in fashion for a curvy mom in her 40s? I would say yes. It is about knowing your market. Saying that you can't do high fashion is not true. You just probably are going to find more work in commercial work. That being said, most of the time, high fashion editorials are unpaid, creative kind of stuff, whereas commercial is where you make the money. So for the most part, most of my magazine editorials I've been, like my most recent magazine cover I was in, nobody was paid. It was just a big collaborative effort, and then the magazine uses it on their cover. So if you want to be in high fashion and say you're plus size or different ethnicities, different genders, all that kind of stuff, high fashion, you're probably going to have a lot of that editorial kind of stuff free, charged, what we call TFP in the industry. And then you're going to make more of your money doing commercial. So I would say if you look at how the world is going right now, curvy people it's an asset. Like, for example, I'm LGBTQ. So I had a funny meeting with my agent who was like, okay, don't be offended, but you're very trendy right now. So like sometimes it can be an asset, especially if you look at say like Skims and that kind of stuff. People are really trying to lean towards actually having curvy models in different races. And lots of times I get hired for stuff just because I'm gay. Well, not just because, but it's an asset. It helps. So if you do have something like that, just lean into it. It's trendy. If this were the 90s, I probably would have had a different answer for you. But I know it's nice actually. And also, be the change you want to be in the world, right? That's kind of me, how I do it. So that same sort of thing goes for like if you see measurement requirements, height requirements, lots of times so my current agent, they have measurement requirements that I do not fit. What I did was I found the scout's email address and I emailed them directly. So just apply anyways. You'd be surprised what you can get if you just apply. I've gotten lots of jobs that they wanted somebody that was much smaller and I just wowed them with my portfolio. So they were like, perfect, we'll hire her, right? So one thing about modeling is you're going to get rejected. You're going to get rejected 90% of the time. Even if you're like professional like I am, most of the castings I don't book them. So just keep applying, get used to rejection. It doesn't mean anything about you being like fat or too short. It's not a reflection of you. It's just that they decided to go with somebody else. Very often could be that I have blue eyes and they wanted somebody with brown eyes. It's really easy. So just keep applying and you will get some stuff eventually. Just don't get too discouraged when you get rejected. You will get rejected. It's just part of the industry. And then the next one is a little bit more posing focused. So is there any tips on flattering poses to conceal my quote unquote flaws? She does have stretch marks and wrinkles and some gray hair. Tummy rolls are something she's most self-conscious about. Girl, we are all covered in stretch marks and we all have tummy rolls. It doesn't matter how small you are. When you bend, you're gonna get a tummy roll. It's just how it works. So I would try to not be too self-conscious about those sorts of things. Not to mention stretch marks, they'll probably just Photoshop those out, to be honest with you. But I do understand why you have that question. So one of the best things for tummies, if say, just like hide it. You can put your arm across something like this. This will create a nice line, so that it will elongate you as well, and it kind of covers up the tummy if you don't want your tummy to be seen. Anything, if you have it towards the camera, will look bigger, and if you have it away from the camera, it'll look smaller. So you can say lean back. You can also kind of twist your lower body and then put the upper body up, and it will make your waist look a little bit smaller. Just conceal them. It's pretty simple as that. As for gray hair, that one is a little bit hard to conceal. Personally, I dye my hair. My hair is naturally blonde, but it's not this like super white blonde. So you could always put in little bits of makeup to cover up the gray if that's something you would like to do. That being said, you can totally leave the gray in. I know there's one model in town that I absolutely love, and she has this beautiful graying hair in the black with the beautiful gray hair, and it's gorgeous. So I wouldn't be too self-conscious about the gray hair. That one is kind of hard to conceal posing wise, because anything that you do where you're going to cover your hair completely, it might look a little bit awkward. So that's something you'd maybe want to deal with before the shoot. If you're really self-conscious about your gray, just put a little bit of makeup on it, or just dye it. Honestly, there's no shame in dyeing your hair. I dye my hair. I have for years. As well as, yeah, as for stretch marks, same sort of idea. You can kind of cover it up, but for the most part, they're just going to edit them out. Sometimes photographers do like to have those in there because they want to show the realness, right? In which case, they won't remove them. But one thing that I've always noticed is like, sometimes I'll get photos back from photographers and I'll be like, oh my God, my stomach looks so fat. Like, I look bad in this. Like, how could they pick this? The truth is, there is thousands of photos taken in a photo shoot. That photographer liked the one with your belly out. They liked it. They wouldn't have picked it. They wouldn't have put their own work into it if they didn't like it. So even if you look at something and go like, oh, I don't really like it. We are our own worst critics. And sometimes you just have to be like, you know what? They liked it. This is the photo that they picked. Somebody thinks I look beautiful with my tummy rolls, you know? I'm sure many people would be less harsh than we are on ourselves. Okay, next one. What is the difference between commercial, fashion, and editorial poses? And when do we know when to use them? So that is something that I will go more in depth in each class. Basically, the difference between fashion, commercial, and editorial is commercial is when you're selling products. They're usually very approachable. They're very smiley. They're very light almost. Something that is, you wouldn't be intimidated by them. You want to be their friend. You want to buy the product that they're selling. Versus, say, fashion, you would want to, it's usually the fierceness. It's the super smize, the really big poses, the one where you get to really be creative. Ones where you're maybe like upside down and you're kicking your legs in the air, or you're just screaming and pulling on your hair and doing all that sort of stuff. That's where you get to be a little bit more creative. So that's when you see those videos of Coco Roche flow posing where she's just like bam, bam, bam. That would be like fashion. Fashion, editorial, kind of similar. Editorial mostly just means that it's going to be in a magazine. So you can have like high fashion editorial, commercial editorial. Editorial refers more to that. Editorial generally refers to high fashion, but if you are doing something very light and commercial in a magazine, it would still be editorial. So yeah, that's pretty much it. When do you know when to use them? You should always do your research before a shoot, know what you're getting into. For the most part, if you're doing product, it's commercial. If you're doing a magazine, it's high fashion. But I always, before I do any shoot, you ask what you're doing, you ask for a mood board, you plan out your stuff, because you don't want to just show up to a shoot and be like, hey guys, what's going on? it's not going to look very professional. You want to have a plan. I love Pinterest. Pinterest is the best for that. It's how I plan out pretty much every shoot. And never be afraid to ask someone. So if someone's like, say a photographer is paying you to do a shoot, ask them for the mood board. Ask them what they're going for. Ask them what kind of makeup you need to wear if you're doing your own makeup. Ask them what kind of clothes to bring if you're doing your own things. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. Asking the right questions will not make you look less professional. It'll make you look more professional. Next one. I keep doing the same poses. How can I keep it fresh and diversify my poses? This one is sort of a two-faceted sort of deal. I would say don't be afraid of doing something unflattering or something ugly, because you're never going to know what works until you try it. I really recommend taking some time to practice, just like you would do anything. You sit yourself down in front of your mirror or stand up in front of a mirror, just like you would practice an instrument. Put on some music you like, do your little flow posing, just try some stuff, see what looks good. You can also set up a little self-timer camera. I recommend not doing a front-facing camera if you're doing the photos, because it's better to like not be able to see yourself, because in real life you probably won't be able to see yourself. I can't see myself right now. All I am looking is into the lens. So I would recommend just trying stuff. Practice at home. Try weird stuff. See what happens. And we will go in depth on what flow posing is. Flow posing is one of the best ways to like diversify what you're doing, because you're going to go pop, 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 doing different things. But I will go into flow posing in depth. The next thing that I would say to keep it fresh, Pinterest. Pinterest is your friend. Say you have a shoot coming up and it's going to be at the ocean. Put in Pinterest, ocean photo shoot, and see what comes up. Scroll on there and save stuff. And then once you have a little board made for your shoot, I always just organize private boards on my Pinterest. I put the date, the name of the shoot, and then I put all of my inspiration, and then you can refer to it back when you're at the shoot. Because there's definitely times that I've been there and then you go, oh God, what was on my Pinterest board? I don't remember. So bring that with you and then you can reference it. Look at other people. TikTok, I've noticed, has been a great wealth of posing advice lately. You see a lot of those TikToks where people are like, poses for people that aren't photogenic, and they'll show a bunch of different options of poses that you could use. Instagram is a great way to keep things fresh. You can actually follow hashtags on Instagram. So I follow hashtag model, I follow hashtag editorial, I follow hashtag like agency model, and then you can see all the different things that people are doing. So I would just stay active in the community, look at magazines, look at books, practice, basically. And don't be afraid of doing something weird. A lot of times people are worried about looking unattractive by doing something, but it's a digital photo. They can delete it. It's okay if it doesn't work out. Okay, we've got another question from the chat. Which one is it here? To apply to an agency, they ask for full body photos. What should those look like? Any clothes photos. So you would need what are called digitals or Polaroids. So these are, how do I explain? So these are going to be natural light photos, no makeup, none whatsoever. You can put on some skincare, curl your lashes, put on a little lip chat. If you're feeling really cheeky and you have a really natural highlighter, you can put a little bit of highlighter on your cheekbones, but that's about it. If you have long hair, you want to have it pulled back in a tight ponytail, just a slicked back ponytail. And you're going to want to wear either a black tank top and black jeans, a black t-shirt, form-fitting, tight, and black leggings or jeans. Or depending on the agency, I would also take some in a black swimsuit. Try and pick a black swimsuit that is flattering, but not distracting. Just like a triangle bikini that fits you really well. One tip I have for the bikini stuff is, because I'm also plus size, is don't get one of the ones that have the straps built in, because those can kind of cut. So when you're frolicking and swimming and doing the things that you're supposed to do in swimsuits, it needs to be tight so it stays up. When you are taking photos, have it like just barely loose so that it just doesn't dig into your skin. So use the tie-up triangle bikini and keep it like that. You're going to want to take a full body straight, full body to the 3/4, full body to both sides, and then a full body from the back. And then you're going to do that same thing, 3/4, like sort of mid-thigh upwards. And then you want to do that same thing again, portrait-wise. Keep poses very minimal. You can pose a little bit. You don't have to be a complete just brick standing there, but you can definitely like move a little bit. One of the big tips is try not to do any poses that cross across your body. It makes you look nervous. So you don't want to do that. When applying to agencies, if you have a portfolio going already, I would include that. So when I applied to my current agent, I found her email. I didn't even attach my digitals, to be honest, because I had some tear sheets that I used. I attached my magazine covers and I wrote an email. That is my best suggestion for getting into an agency, is find an email of a scout and email them directly. Those submission forms, they get so many. And honestly, if you don't fit the exact requirements they want and you don't wow them with digitals, you're gonna have a hard time. Because like my digitals are not the most traditional because I am the size that I am. And I am the gay that I am with the short hair. So I don't look quite traditional like that. So find an email, say why you want that agent, go in depth, go through their stuff, find out the history, make a reel about why you want to be signed with them. Tell them a little bit about yourself and why you're special. Give them all your contact information and attach those photos. If you're just starting out, digitals, perfect. If you're wanting to be runway, I would lean on the side of using digitals because they're going to care the most about that. They really want a certain body type for runway. Not saying that you can't do runway at other sizes. I do runway as well, but it's not my main focus. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions about what a digital looks like, I can plug my studio. We do shoot them for you if you like for a fee, but most of the time you just do them by yourself, to be honest. You can get professional ones, but most of the time you take them with your iPhone. No editing whatsoever, no makeup. They will know if you edit it, trust me. So just don't do that. Just do them on your iPhone and just Google model Polaroids, model digitals if you want a reference photo for what those will look like. Yeah, I recommend using that as well as your best photos when you send an email. So, yeah. And then next question. We're on question 8 now. So the next question will be, some of my poses look awkward no matter how hard I try. What can I do to make myself look more natural? My best tip for this is flow posing, because sometimes it can be as subtle as turning your chin down a little bit, tilting your face, doing something like this. So when I refer to flow posing, it is, I will go more in depth, but it's referring to how you keep moving. If you've ever watched, say, Coco Roche is an amazing example, although she's so amazing that I would say that she tends to hit a big pose, go to a completely different pose, hit another completely different pose. When you're first starting, I don't recommend that because you might have your chin up just a little bit too much and it'll look kind of weird. So when you first start, you will say if you're doing something like this, you would go like this. When you hear the camera click, you hear the camera click again. You move again, you hear the camera click again, you move, you do that. So these little adjustments can be what makes you look way more natural because they'll get the different looks. And I find usually if a pose looks unnatural, it's just because my chin is too high or my shoulder is slightly too high or I'm looking a little bit too far that way. So if you just make little minor adjustments, you'll find you'll look so much more natural on camera, as well as just practice too. It takes a lot of practice. Even not just practice at photo shoots. I practice at home. I have a glass of wine, if you're old enough to partake in some wine, and put my music on that I really like, something with a solid beat, because I use that beat as a fake camera click, and I will change my pose as it goes. Somebody's making my producer laugh over there. But yes, so that's how I'll spend a Saturday night. Have a glass of wine, do it in the mirror. Practice makes perfect. It's like an instrument, like anything else. Modeling is definitely a learned skill, not something you're born with. There's a lot of beautiful women out there and men, beautiful people of all genders, but they aren't models, and it's practice. Next question 9. I hate my smile in all of my photos. What can I do to improve my smile? So I don't want to give away all of my tips because you guys need to tune in for my smiling class. But I would say that the number one thing I've noticed when I've been coaching people with smiles is they're showing their bottom teeth. So you might have seen little kids when they're first smiling for the photos, they go like, hi, right? Just if you're doing a modeling look, if you naturally smile with your bottom teeth, it doesn't mean anything. It's a natural smile and that's good. But when we're smiling for camera, it's not a natural smile. It's not your real smile. You can always tell if a behind the scene photo of me is a real smile or a fake smile because you can see my baby tooth that I don't show off. So just make sure that you're not showing your bottom teeth. So like, there's that. Makes a big difference. But I will give a whole class just on smiling because smiling is the hardest thing. It is the hardest thing that you're going to do. It's something that requires a lot of practice, which is why I always thought it was a little funny whenever you're at any birthday party or whatever. They're always like, smile for the camera. And I'm like, guys, we could get this done in so many less shots if we just vogued instead. It'd be better. Okay, perfect. Got another question. We'll be getting into more manly male posing as well. Definitely. Yes, we will. So I am non-binary, so I actually work as both a male and a female model. There'll be a lot of differences. Well, actually, I shouldn't say there's a lot of differences. Most things are going to be the same with subtle tweaks. Like, for example, if I was trying to look more feminine and I was touching my face, I would touch my face with this long side of my hand. If I want to be more masculine, I would have it front ways. So yeah, we'll go into both in each lesson. I'll make sure to touch on both male and female stuff, as well as like any gender in between, because although you may have more masculine and more feminine things, there are times where you would want to look more feminine when you are a man, or you may want to look more masculine when you are a female. Like if I'm trying to look really powerful, I go for masculine poses. You'll grab at your collar, you'll do your big jaw, that sort of stuff, versus like, say, if you're a man and you're modeling and you're doing bridal, you kind of want to be softer too. You want to be a little bit more feminine, a little bit more in touch, a little bit more in love. So you maybe will do things like, for example, women always, you want to bring things in to be feminine, whereas masculine, you bring it out. You make it more like this. But yes, to answer your question, I will be going into both in every class. Like, say smiling is pretty universal, but say like fashion editorial, that can be quite different. So for that one, I'll definitely make sure, as well as commercial stuff. But there's going to be a huge amount of overlap, believe it or not, because posing rules generally can go both ways. Like, you don't want your elbow straight to the camera, whether you're a man or a woman, or anything in between. Next question. What are the top 5 poses I should know? So this is a question I get a lot from people that are mentoring. People often want a set rules of things that they want to do. My best recommendation for the top 5 things that you should know is none of them. I would like you to be more creative, and you're going to want to vary it all the time. Like, there will be rules that you'll want to be following, but having like, I do this pose, then I do this pose, and then I do this pose is not really what you want to do. There are some things that, like, it's a good idea to know your best poses, say when you're in your headshot. Like, for example, I know my favorite poses tend to be more like voguing kind of stuff and headshots. So for me, this is what I would consider an essential pose. But for you, that might be completely different. So I get this question a lot. And my answer to top 5 that you should know is don't do that. Don't do that. You want to flow and make it as natural as possible. Because as soon as you are trying to nail a certain one pose, you're going to look too posed. You want to look like you're moving and fluid and comfortable in front of the camera. I've noticed a lot of the like cosplay models that I've taught before, they kind of fall into this trope. So yeah, the answer is don't. Okay, next question. Next one. This is, so definitely if you have any more questions, enter them in the chat now, because I've only got one more pre-done question left. So if you can think of anything, enter it in, and then I will try and answer any questions that you have, posing, industry, about the course, anything at all. So this one is, how quickly am I meant to be flow posing? This is something that I would say every time the camera clicks, you want to make sure that you nail that shot and then you move to the next pose. Different photographers will be different. Like, say, for example, we have a few photographers in my studio here. Xavier always gets after me for flow posing too quick. Steven wants me to go faster. So I would say, hear the camera click, move. Hear the camera click, move. Hear the camera click, move. If you feel like you're going faster than the camera is clicking, it's too fast. If you're clicking, waiting, moving, that's too slow. Every photographer is going to be different, as well as, say, I have shot with a few that shoot on old school film. You have to move much slower for that, because if they catch you mid thing, it's not going to develop properly. So asking the right questions will make you look so much more professional than just making stuff up. So if you think that maybe you're going too fast, going too slow, just say, hey, is this speed good? Would you like me to speed up? Would you like me to slow down? One of my favorite sort of tools to have when you're doing a photo shoot is, most of the time there will be music going. People tend to bring music just because it makes things more interesting. I tend to think of it like dancing. So you tend to, if there's music going, everybody tends to go to the beat of the music. There won't always be music, but yeah. So you're going to want to vary that exactly to the photographer that you're doing. And you just need to ask questions if you need to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, got another one. Okay. How long is each class? So each class is a little bit different. They're all going to be maximum an hour, maybe a little bit over. Like, say, the smiling one, that's going to take me a long time. We're going to be at that one for a little while. They're all going to be roughly an hour. Probably I would give yourself between, like, I don't think anything's going to be under 30 minutes. Sometimes I do talk a little bit quickly, and as well, it will vary as well on your questions. I will have a live chat just like we do now. So as we're going, I will do my very best to answer all your questions. So that may speed things up, may slow things down. They're going to be about an hour, maybe less. I think right now we're at about like 45 minutes. So I would gauge it probably about the same as this class. As well as, say, if you have to be at work at noon and you can only watch the first half, you can always go back and watch it later. So if it ends up being too long for your schedule, then you'll be able to come back and rewatch it. I'll have them all available up at the end. Especially, I will have them all just on my YouTube channel as they are now. That way, especially when we come up to the final pose off, you might be a little rusty from something from, say, week 2. You can go back and rewatch them at any time. Yeah. So, this is your last chance to ask me any questions. We are hitting the end here. But just as a summary, I will tell you it is 8 weeks, including today. So this is 7 more weeks. We will be going over the history of posing in the first week. The second week, we will be going over the basics and posing rules. Third week will be commercial modeling and modeling product. Fourth is commercial modeling, smiling. After that, the 5th week will be high fashion and editorial posing. After that, will be all about boudoir, swimsuit, and sex appeal. Going back to that previous question, this is one where male, female will definitely we'll go very in depth into both, because sex appeal is definitely different for the two genders. Okay, I've got another question. What did you do before modeling? What made you get into modeling seriously? I have kind of a funny story. So I'm a biochemist. I went to school for biochemistry. I obtained my degree. I was a beauty YouTuber to put myself through university. I used to do like makeup tutorials, all that kind of stuff, little vlog kind of stuff. After the adpocalypse, I lost my monetization as YouTube, and that job just got pulled out from under my feet. I was just got an email from YouTube one day, like, you're fired. And I was like, oh man, thanks Logan Paul. Thanks for doing that. So I was kind of at a loss for what to do. And then I was not paying attention at all. And I think it was like something ridiculous. It was like cellular virology or something really boring. Something I was not paying attention to at all. I was on Facebook, and an ad popped up for my old agency. I'm not with them anymore, but I was originally signed with Numa. And I know there's mixed reviews on Numa, but they were always good to me. And I just applied because I was bored. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then they got me. I did my first test shoot with them. And from that test shoot, the photographer that was shooting, he hired me for a job for the next week, which was very lucky and kind of unusual. But I think it was because I had got that job so quickly that I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is so much fun. I think I can do this. So I started modeling while I was still in university, graduated university, immediately went into healthcare, was working in healthcare for a little while. I was able to supplement my income enough with modeling that I started working just like one day a week in healthcare. Just using my, I did like IPAC, like infection prevention and control, that kind of stuff. And then I was able to transition as sort of things have come by. Now I am a model and I hate the word, but an entrepreneur. So I own a few companies as well. So that word always makes me go, ugh. But yeah, that's sort of what made me start doing it. Was I got fired from YouTube and was bored in my lecture. It's kind of an interesting origin story. But yeah, and I just loved it. Once I started doing it, I was addicted. So is that another question, or are you just holding your hand like that? Nope. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so that's my origin story. Put it in a comic book. Yeah, and then the last class, just to come back to what we were doing, the overview, was the emotion facial expression. And then once that's done, we will have our final pose off. One lucky winner, one skill-based winner, it's not a lottery, we'll get to see their face in a print in the busiest theater in Victoria, fully mentored by myself. So just remember, you have to do the full course to be entered in the pose off, which will be styled by Chai Fashions, and it will be running in the Roxy Theater downtown. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Everybody that completes will get a diploma if you complete the whole thing, which you can put up on your wall, which I think will be pretty fun. If anybody has any questions at any point that they think of, I'm very reachable by email, or honestly, you can even DM me on Instagram. Instagram, if it's something short, that I'll do my best to get back to you. Just write a little something. Since you've signed up for this course and you've been here watching and everything, if you ask me a question, I'll do my very best to answer it. Sometimes it's kind of hard to answer things by text, so if you get a voice memo, don't be surprised. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Yeah, I'll give one last final chance to ask me anything before I sign off. And then yeah, we can call that. If you do want to end up signing for my full course, it's all on the website. There was links in the bio down below. You click the bio links. There'll be everything there, as well as, yeah, I think if you don't follow me on Instagram, it's just Paige, Paige _WLLS for Wells, just minus the E. You can also reach me on Facebook, TikTok, email. Email is probably the best way to reach me. It's info@blackfishphotography.com. And yeah, if nobody else is having any questions, I might just say goodbye. And thank you so much for watching. Click the links below. Thank you so much for joining me and asking your questions. Really enjoyed this, and I really look forward to seeing some of you all next week. All right.